Hello, and welcome to the Forgotten Stars YouTube channel. My name is Kelly Settinger. I am a writer, photographer, and dreamer living in the Western New York area. This video is going to be photography-centric. I'm sitting here in an abandoned and quite ruined old well house in Chestnut Ridge Park. Chestnut Ridge is one of the bigger parks in Erie County. It's one of my favorite destinations to come. I have to be careful while recording this because I am actually sitting in the middle of the disc golf course here in the forest. So if I start hearing jingling chains, that means a group of players is coming through. I might need to suddenly pause the action real quick. I've been thinking a lot about how to approach photography as a subject on my channel. It's not going to be the only subject I ever talk about. If you're at all familiar with my writing, say on my blog, where I've been blogging for almost 22 years now. Oh my gosh. Wow. 22 years. Anyway. My interests are all over the map, so this is not going to be a photography-only channel, but photography is a really recent passion of mine. Taking pictures has always been something I liked doing, but it's really exploded into a passion for the craft itself and approaching it in a more intentional way over the last year. That might be part midlife crisis, and it's also part coping mechanism. There's been a lot of stuff going on. My mother passed away in November of last year after a series of health issues that were very difficult to deal with. But I've really leaned heavily into photography pretty much since June of last year when I bought this camera. This is my Lumix FZ1000 Mark II that I bought when I decided to upgrade my camera. Growing up, we didn't take a whole lot of pictures as a family. We weren't big into picture taking. We had a Kodak Instamatic. I think everybody had a Kodak Instamatic. This was during the 1970s. This was the kind that took the actual plastic cartridges with the film in them. You had to physically advance it. There's no batteries involved whatsoever. Very low tech, but I don't even know what happened to any of those pictures. I remember we had them developed and made into slides that we would put into a slide projector and then display on the wall sometimes. And that was always fun. We gathered together and, hey, we're going to watch slides and watch, kind of memories of trips we'd taken. But that camera kind of disappeared at one of our moves. Picture taking just stopped being a thing. We weren't the type of family to take family portraits or just go around with a camera. So there isn't a whole lot of photographic documentation of my youth. It wasn't until I went to college that I noticed that a bunch of my friends had cameras. They were taking pictures when we'd go on trips, various trips with college groups or just trips home or whatever. And they would have photo albums, and I kind of thought, well, I'd kind of like to be able to start photographically documenting my memories. So I asked my parents for a film camera for Christmas one year. I think it was 1990. I got one. And that began a succession of, cameras, film, eventually to digital in the mid-2000s, and there was, a number of digital, just everything was always point and shoot. I was always just to whip out the camera and, take a snapshot. I did start paying more attention to trying to compose shots, although not in a really formal way. I didn't study this at all. I was just trying to kind of finagle things a bit when I switched to a smartphone in 2014. My first smartphone was a Samsung Galaxy S4. Sorry, I thought I heard golfers coming through. It's a false alarm. And then when we were going to New York City for Thanksgiving, in November 2015, I decided I wanted to upgrade my point and shoot camera again. So I got a Nikon Coolpix L840, which had a really nice zoom on it. It's a very capable little camera for a point and shoot. I still have it at home. It works pretty well. It works perfectly well, actually, for what it is. Then I started deciding, roughly about a year ago, it might have been time to upgrade that again. In terms of phones, which I'm recording this on now, I'm on a Samsung Galaxy S21. I'm hoping to get at least another year and a half out of it, if I can. I'm not a person who upgrades phones on a regular basis. I tend to wait till the performance starts to lag and then look into upgrading. But I've had a great run with the S21. But I did decide last year, I thought it might be time to upgrade my regular, my nicer camera, so to speak. So I did some research. In terms of brand loyalty, I'm not strictly brand loyal, but I do tend to look at the brand I'm using first if I've had a good experience with it. So I did look at Nikon again. They have a P1000, which is this behemoth of a super zoom camera, bridge camera that I came close to buying that. I didn't buy it for a number of reasons. First of all, I just decided I probably don't need that much zoom. I mean, that thing zooms incredibly. Plus, from what I read, it's not great in low light situations because of its small sensor. I don't know if that's true or not. If you're using this camera, having great luck. I'm not throwing rocks at your camera. And I decided, apparently that camera weighs 3.5 pounds, and that's just not something I wanted to lug around on a regular basis, you know, on hiking trips through forests like this. After some research, I landed on this, you know, Lumix, like I said, FZ1000 Mark II, which is successor to the FZ1000. Why didn't I get a camera body with, you know, just a couple lenses and then start building my kit then? A year ago, I didn't know anything about photography beyond, you know, trying to frame a shot and maybe edit it a bit, you know, piecemeal, you know, in a Photoshop-esque program. A year ago, I had no idea what ISO was. I'd never heard of aperture value, shutter speed, rule of thirds, any of that sort of thing. Symmetry, I understood. That's a pretty easy concept, but you know, none of the other stuff in terms of craft. And in terms of expense, I didn't think I could justify the expense of a good camera body with some lenses to enter a hobby that I really didn't know anything about. I didn't know how I was going to take to this. And it turns out this camera is more than capable for what I need right now. It's a really good thing to learn on, and I'm having a great time. Will I upgrade eventually to a camera body with, you know, interchangeable lenses? Very certainly, probably. Yes, I'm going to. I'd like to get to at least 2025, 2026 before I make that move. I really want to max out what I can do on this, and I haven't even come close yet. I really consider myself a beginning photographer, and that brings me to the photography aspect of this particular channel. There are a lot of photography channels on YouTube, and in fact, part of the thing that sent me down this road was I did a YouTube search once when I was just thinking about looking for a new camera, you know, what kind of camera should I buy, and that just opened up a wormhole. Rabbit hole, wormhole, whatever you want to call it. I went down that and did just video after video, channel after channel devoted to photography. I started watching all of this, and I started learning how much I needed to learn. You know, the old Socratic thing where, you know, you don't know what you don't know, or, you know, however that went. Somewhere my philosophy professors are turning over in their graves. But anyway, I started watching a bunch of these YouTube channels, and I've noticed, and I subscribe to a whole bunch of them. There's a bunch that are geared towards really practical nuts and bolts advice. You know, like, are your photos not sharp enough? Here's what you can do. Here's how you can work the focus on your cameras. Here's what you can do in low light situations to get better pictures. Here's what you can do. Focus on moving subjects, you know, all that sort of technical things. And I subscribe to a bunch of those. They're wonderful. There are also channels that deal with the artistic side, the humanistic side, what I kind of call Zen and the art of photography. And a lot of those are wonderful to watch. It's nice to keep a reminder of that photography is an art in addition to being a craft, and it is a way to get yourself into the world and experience the world and see the world in a new way. And it kind of, it's almost like a feedback loop. You look at the world in new ways. You think, how can I photograph this interestingly? How can I snap this? How can I take this? How can I make an image of this? And photographing trains you to look at the world in a new way, but it also trains you to use the device to kind of capture what you're seeing. And there's just a twofold challenge that kind of feeds itself. So it becomes an absolutely fascinating loop. But like I said, I am still a beginner. I've only been really at this beyond the point and shoot variety since last June, which is when I bought this camera. So as goes photography on this channel, what I think I'm going to do is chronicle my experiences as a beginner. I haven't seen a whole lot of that online. If you have a channel out there that's, you know, geared towards, you know, a beginner chronicling their stuff, you know, let me know. I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's millions of channels out there. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just work through my process and show how that happens from time to time. I'll put up pictures to say, wow, this one really screwed up. I'm not sure where I went wrong with that. Or I might show, you know, growth as far as, you know, the pictures I took in those first few times I walked the forest with this device compared to times after that, when I have a better idea of what I'm doing, when I have a better idea of how the the f-stops work and all that sort of thing. So I hope that'll be something worthwhile. I hope that'll be something enjoyable, as I move forward, with this channel. In terms of production values, I'm going to keep working on that. I'm very new to YouTube. I haven't made a whole lot of videos. My main experience with video editing is on Windows Movie Maker, which hasn't existed in, I think, at least 5 years. So I've got a quite backup learning curve to address. And I'm going to do that. This channel's not, like I said, it's not going to be all photography all the time. I'm going to talk about books, maybe movies, just random observations as go through food, drinks. I love making drinks. There's going to be a lot going on here, I hope, moving forward. Anyway, I hope you'll join with me on those adventures moving forward. I hope you'll check my main site, my main website, forgottenstars.net. That is where the vast majority of my online output, my online content goes, is to there. I've been blogging in one form or another. I was on Blogspot for like almost 19 years, and I've transferred everything to a WordPress blog, which is at forgottenstars.net. Hope you'll check me out there. I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to it. And I don't know, sky's the limit. Let's get out there.